This is the fall of 2020, before COVID-19 vaccines. And now, a few COVID-19 shots later, Dr. Michael Diamond at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis says the repeat vaccinations are doing more than people realize.
There's still a lot of infections that are going on, but they're mostly mild because we have built up a lot of immunity over time.
The Herbert S. Professor in the Departments of Medicine, Molecular Microbiology, Pathology, and Immunology is senior author of a study investigating repeat vaccinations and concerns scientists have about them. Mainly, could the success of the first COVID-19 vaccines work against updated versions? This is a problem for annual influenza shots when immunity elicited by 1 year's flu shots interfere with immune responses in the years that follow, reducing the vaccine's effectiveness against the flu. So, Diamond got to work to see if that's happening with repeat COVID-19 vaccinations.
We got samples from Moderna's clinical trial. So they had a clinical trial which they were following their vaccine recipients who originally got the original Spikevax, or also called mRNA 1273. They got multiple doses of it. And then at some point, they got a bivalent vaccine, and then they got a monovalent vaccine against the newer Omicron variants. And we took those serum, and then we profiled the serum to see were those antibodies generated new and only specific against the Omicron variant vaccines, or were they actually derived from the original one?
The study shows that people who were repeatedly vaccinated for COVID-19, starting with their first shots, followed by boosters and updated vaccines targeting variants, did not have the problems that can occur with flu shots.
We're getting broadly cross-reactive antibodies that are shaped by the original experience, the original Spikevax vaccination or your original infections, and they can be neutralizing. But we're not generating a lot of new, what we call de novo, new antibodies against the newer antigens that we're making currently. It's all shaped by the original one, but it's actually productive.
Productive because the repeated vaccinations generated antibodies capable of neutralizing a wide range of SARS-CoV-2 variants,
inducing what we call a recall response that is completely shaped by your earlier experience. And our data suggested you're not really generating new responses, you're generating cross-reactive responses. But those cross-reactive responses cross-react to the new variant. And what we observed is that the cross-reactive responses have tremendous breadth that you're generating, and those are actually protecting not only against the variant of the day, the one that was targeted by the vaccine, but also even against variants that don't exist yet, or variants that could be pre-emergent strains.
Diamond says periodic revaccination for COVID-19 caused people to gradually build up a stock of broadly neutralizing antibodies that protect them from emerging SARS-CoV-2 variants and protect them against some distantly related coronaviruses that have not even emerged yet.
Instead, we're generating responses that really reflect what we saw before, but it turns out that unlike flu, where that's bad, in this case, it seems to be protective. So even though we're boosting and generating recall responses, those recall responses are now focused on the newer variants and are protective and actually can protect even against pre-emergent strains that don't exist yet, but are in the related strains in the family. We might be protected against something that could emerge in the future. If it was a completely different coronavirus, probably not, but if it was in the family that the SARS-CoV-2 is, I think you would have some benefit from it. So there is an implication that our vaccines now actually have broader activity than they were originally targeted for.
Diamond says repeated COVID-19 vaccinations could possibly prevent another 2020 type of pandemic.
Potentially all of our antigen experience, all of our infection experience could definitely prevent a pandemic to the same degree.